Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald. Rochelle is right there, and we're going to introduce our guest in just a second. But I just wanted to touch bases with everybody that, you know, in life, we all have got a mission, we think, and we all have got an idea of what we want to do. But sometimes it takes somebody to enlighten us and illuminate the way to where we want to go. And this particular young lady has spent her life work is doing that. And Rochelle's going to introduce her right now.
Yes, so we have Lisa Heintzelman. Oh my gosh, I almost messed that up. She has the company Illuminations Consulting, and it is an honor to have you here and learn more about what exactly that means. So thank you for being here, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
And thank you, Lisa. It's interesting that Illuminations. It's a great name. Where'd you come up? And I know where you came up with it, but why Illuminations Consulting?
So lots of years ago, when I was launching Illuminations Consulting, which was 25 years ago, this past April,
Well, good for
I was
you.
thank you. I was brainstorming names, and one of the things that I think is so important is to think about where we are and where it is that we want to be. And having an opportunity to explore and implement best practices into what we're doing, I know that people come to the table with lots of knowledge and experience in what they're doing. And I thought that I'd have an opportunity to optimize their success, which is my tagline. And one of the ways that I could do that is through illuminating them and their success and their opportunities. So it really came from that regard. And as you can see with my logo, I use stars, and they're in progression from light to dark to show that process and that growth and that meaningful steps in engagement to from where it is that we want to be to where it is that we want to go. And I love sometimes when people use some of the words with it, just like you did here at the beginning, when somebody says, so how are you going to illuminate me today? Or sometimes in testimonials, people will say, I've been illuminated. And that just is so cool. So it's more important to me what you kind of think about it and how it resonates to you, as opposed it is from my perspective.
Well, in a lot of cases, well, I don't know about a lot of cases, but in some cases, people may come to you and they say, perhaps an entrepreneur or somebody who's thinking of starting a business, or they're doing some activity that requires passion and gusto and probably money, and they're like, I don't have any earthly idea how I'm going to get this thing off the ground, but it's my passion and I really want to do it. Lisa, your job is to illuminate the way and help me figure all this out. Am I correct in that?
Sure. And one of the things that I begin with in any initial conversation is that I'm fascinated about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, or what it is that you want to do if you haven't launched yet. And so one of my first questions or topics that I like to explore is who are you? What's your why? What do you have going on? And so many times we get so regimented in our businesses to do all the stuff around branding and marketing and sales that we sometimes lose touch with, or somebody didn't ask us a question around What is your why? What does success mean to you personally, professionally, business, organizationally? And it's interesting, even though somebody might be passionate about what it is that they're doing, they haven't been asked that question. And so sometimes there's not very much of a response related to that. And there's no right or wrong answers about what your why is or what success means to you. But we tend to not be driven by that specifically from ourselves in our head, in our heart, and our soul, because we more often think about what did somebody else tell me to think about my why, or what did somebody else say or think that relates to the success of an individual, a team, a business, an organization. And that's one of my big deal kinds of things, is that we need to lead with our head, heart, and most importantly, our soul about why we're doing what we're doing. And that's one of the reasons why one of my focuses is to really pull the variety of power words out of you that relate to why you're doing what you're doing, your vision, what it is that you want to become, your core values that drive that decision making, your competitive edge, the variety of problems that you solve, value that you bring, why do business with you, and the results and outcomes to engage with you, and your mission, the what and how to make that happen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And when we pull all those words together, they become just a one-page document that I call your strategic business framework that you get to know and love and live every day. And it's those power words and phrases you get to repurpose throughout everything that you do. And we don't have to start over every day or every time you have another opportunity about what you might say out loud when you're being interviewed, when you're doing networking and doing your 30-second commercial, when you have an opportunity to write something in a blog or to promote your business at an event or to create some kind of ad for a program booklet. And so I think it's such a big deal that too many individuals are starting their business by creating a business card, a website, doing some kind of marketing, and then they say, wait, where are my clients? And they're not necessarily living their life and their purpose from their why and what success means to them, so that they can really bring value to the individuals, families, businesses, teams, and communities that they serve.
Hmm.
That's brilliant, because ultimately that is what well well, first of all, let's go down this road. Power words. Can you give us a couple of, like power words that you draw out of people
Sure.
that go on this document that then they can refer to and to look at?
Sure. So your power words should be different than somebody else's power words when we talk about that from a competitive edge statement. What makes you uniquely different than somebody else who might be related to you or similar to you in industry or whatever it is that it may be? And sometimes we are very general in what it is that we say around the aspect that I do bookkeeping or I do accounting or I'm a virtual assistant. And so I'm going to do XYZ for you and help you with your business. We need you as that bookkeeper, as that accountant, as that virtual assistant, based upon the variety of problems that you solve, value that you bring, the results and outcomes for engaging with you. From that perspective, that's what we care about. We don't really care how you do it from the back end, and we don't need all those specifics. So we brainstorm those words and phrases that relate to, as a bookkeeper or an accountant, you're really supporting me with knowing my numbers and being able to make strategic, data driven decisions for and with my business to grow and develop, not just to read a report and see where I am and hope I do better next time. Same thing with a virtual assistant. Virtual assistants are leaving way too much opportunity and dollars on the table because they often come to a meeting and say, I can do this and this and this and this and this and this for you. What do you want? If a business owner already knew what they needed, they would have already subcontracted back out to a virtual assistant to have them support them. So virtual assistants are saving us time, energy, dollars. They're helping us to be more productive. And so how are you thinking about that big picture within that? Some of my power words and phrases and competitive edge are around pulling those words out of your head, heart, and soul that are essential to why you're doing what you're doing, that we can put them into those power words and phrases that because you do this for me, this is the result and outcome that I get from that. So you're helping me as a virtual assistant to organize my emails and my contacts so that I can develop relationships with individuals who are on in my contact list, and I can earn one-on-ones with them, and then that's going to grow my business. So each thing builds off of the another, and virtual assistants need to come to the table in a proactive kind of way, knowing because I do this email management for you, because I help you with your phone calls, because I organize these kinds of tasks, though in the long run, you're saving me time, you're growing my business, you're providing the opportunity for me to do what I love every day, rather than having to do those things that are not my strengths and that I don't love every day.
I have a virtual assistant, and she said to me, today, she said, all I want is for you to do the shows that you do.
Yes.
I can handle everything else that needs to be done. And she does. And that is unbelievably freeing. So if you are a virtual assistant out there and you can't say that, you need to get the power words to be able to put that into action, because that it changes everything for a guy like me. And so, Michelle, what do you think? And you know who I'm talking about, so we
Yes,
won't
and
mention her
we love
name,
her.
but
Yeah.
yes.
No, it's so important to build a relationship. After our last show and coming into this, thinking about it, you have to build a relationship with yourself. Because really, without that, and you don't know who you are, how are you marketing? How are you supporting? And how are you as a person bringing things in? And also, I think it's such a huge thing to help people find their strengths. A lot of times we're always looking, well, this person does that and they don't do this very well, and you're not very good at that. But so many people have so many strengths. I can play almost any sport you teach me, I'll pick it up and I'll do it on the spot. If you ask me to draw something, it's not going to look the same. But if I needed somebody for that, then I would go and find that route. How do you help people maybe realize where they here's something. Okay, I'm gonna let Kevin take us into the break, but when we come back, I want to touch base if you've ever had somebody that had a weakness in their mind, they saw it as a weakness, but it is actually one of their greatest strengths, and they were able to see that and make something out of it. I'm very curious on that. So,
Because
Sure,
somebody
absolutely.
in their life has always told them,
yeah,
you're just not very good at that, and
yeah.
you're never gonna be able to sing or do or whatever it is. We need to take a break, and by the way, we're talking with.
Lisa Heintzelman, go visit her website, which is illuminationsconsulting.com, and stay with us. It's just a short break, so don't go anywhere.
And be illuminated by Lisa. That would be fun. We'll be we'll be right back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. And we've got a great guest here. Her name is Lisa
Heintzelman.
I knew that. I was just checking to see if you was paying attention. And you is paying attention. That's pretty cool. You got a question, my friend.
Yes, just if you've ever had somebody come to you and you found that something they saw as a weakness was actually a strength and they were able to make something out of it.
I celebrate that question and thought around that topic. There are so many things, as you said earlier, that we're told throughout our lifetime of we can't do this, you can't do this, you're not great at this. And too many times we focus on doing something about what we think our weaknesses are rather than really leveraging our strengths. And I call it maximizing your individual, team, and organizational potential. Some of the things that we know, realize, or understand that are some of our strength or some of our weaknesses or not some of our interests, it's okay for that to be the case. And when we were talking about virtual assistants before, let's get somebody else doing what is not our interest or our strength or our areas of expertise. And oftentimes we have that opportunity to find out and transfer a potential weakness, which I think more is about that we haven't given ourselves credit for that particular skill or task or activity. And more so, somebody else told us we weren't necessarily good at it. And so if that potential is there, part of those things that I talked about earlier about really learning about your why and your purpose and your passion and brainstorming your competitive edge, those power words and phrases that I was mentioning earlier, really helps to give yourself credit for your strengths. And in that time, it might turn what you thought was a weakness into something that really is your strength or something for you to give yourself credit to. So I really, as we talk about that topic, I really want everyone to think about that we do not need to overcome or compensate for or always be working on something that we think is a weakness of ours, because it doesn't make sense and it doesn't really support us to try to be good at everything. If you are inclined to say, I don't know how to do this and I'm a lifelong learner, and so I'm going to teach myself or go to a class or learn this, being a lifelong learner is awesome. And I really want to make sure I say this out loud to your audience to understand what I'm saying here. What I'm trying to say is leverage your strengths, lead with intention and purpose. Consider whether some of the things that you think about that are a weakness of yours, are they something that you do want to overcome, or are they something to let somebody else do and subcontract to somebody else, and then really maximize your individual, team, and organizational potential. we're leaving so much opportunity and dollars on the table because we're always trying to do something else that we don't necessarily need to do or shouldn't be focusing our time on, rather than leading with our purpose, our vision, our core values, our mission, and our competitive edge to drive what it is that we're doing related to our planning, branding, marketing, sales, and why and how you're working not only in, but on your business. So if you want to, Rochelle, feel free to reorganize that back if we should, to make that distinction around be a lifelong learner as you want to learn what you want to do, but don't feel like you have to fix everything related to any weakness that any perceived weakness that you have over and above leveraging your strengths.
Perfect. That is a very good breakdown because I think a lot of times, like you said, it's on your perception. And when your perspective changes, then you maybe realize and see things differently.
Yeah,
So I'm working with other people trying to kind of grasp the idea of this. And so the way you broke it down was perfect for me to be able to explain it. So thank you.
awesome.
When you are an entrepreneur, you're generally, well, as an example, well, let's take a chocolate chip cookie as an example. Your grandmother made the best chocolate chip cookie in the world. And you have learned how to make that chocolate chip cookie, and you do an extraordinary job. Everybody raves about your chocolate chip cookie, but you don't have any sales experience. You don't have any marketing experience. You don't have any money. How do you take that chocolate chip cookie to market? Any ideas? Or do you take it incrementally, one step at a time, and build it according to the strength, which the strength is you can make the best damn cookie in the world? How do you make that work?
I love this topic, and so it's interesting, and I'm glad you kind of went there with the cookie, because one of the things
I
that
love
I
cookies.
often was that
I love cookies.
cookies.
Cookies are
One of the
good.
things when you said about marketing and sales, one of the things that I often talk about in this topic is that you don't really go to the store to buy a shovel. You go to the store because you need the hole. And so the shovels, not the big deal. The shovels, not necessarily the power word. That's the tool. The the result that we want is the whole. So when we come back to the cookie, what's your why, what, and how related to the whole cookie kind of thing? Is it about, and this connects to your power words again, is it about what the cookie does, has an experience of baking cookies? Does it have something to do with the memory of and the generation of that you did this with your grandmother, and now here you come, however many generations, and you're going to you the
And we're
of
talking with
the
Lisa. Oh, go ahead.
Oh man, what's happening? No,
no.
You're back. You froze for a second. She froze again for a second.
help.
So, Rochelle, if you were to make a chocolate chip cookie, would it be good?
You know, I like making a simple three ingredient peanut butter and chocolate chip cookie. I don't really like peanut butter, but I like them in that. And it's funny the way you phrased that because I was thinking in terms when she was mentioning before you had given the example about how many examples this could go into. How can this lead into something, and like what is the foundation of starting with something that you see, oh, this is really great. Now what do I do with it? And at the same time, I had just opened my chocolate milk, and so it was like this thing that came full force, because then I looked at my chocolate milk and I thought, who created this and how did they get it to be this huge brand that everybody knows and loves? It's just chocolate milk, right?
Yeah,
Maybe it's the
yeah.
story behind the chocolate milk, though.
Well, and it's the company that makes the chocolate milk because they've got marketing out there, and although I gotta say, when you want chocolate milk, you don't really give a crap what brand it is, as long
No,
as it's pure chocolate milk.
yeah. Well, and even the same thing, you can get it pre-made. You can buy the powder and choose how much you want of it. It doesn't matter what brand you buy. I guess that is true, but there's a reason for you wanting chocolate milk. It's the same thing we do in our lives, I think, with everything. It's the same concept, the same idea. Um, it just never comes like back around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And and by the way, I don't have chocolate milk. I'm a little lactose intolerant, so I don't get that. Or when you're
Well,
26,
we'll
you can
find
be
you some.
lactose intolerant and still have chocolate milk.
That is not true, because, well, it is true. Okay, that is true. You could choose to suffer. I know, I did this to myself. They do have the lactate free ones that is chocolate milk, but you're right.
That
When I
just
picked it up, my
doesn't
brain
taste
didn't
the
care.
same.
Yes, yes, yes. I was being picky.
It's like having Coke Zero or something. It's just
Mm,
not the same.
it's really not. It's really not. I mean, but even in those moments where you want something and what you have is not, or what you want isn't an option, you're either going to choose, well, I don't want that anymore, or you're going to pick from the options you have. I think everybody does that, right?
Uh, Are
But
you
it's weird.
looking for validation?
Yes, well, it's because I'm thinking, when you do compare two things side by side, especially for me, I don't know why I'm like this, but if you give me two options and I can't make a choice, I'm not making a choice. I don't want either one of them. If I can't have both of them, then
That's weird.
I don't want them at all.
That I think that's a girl's point of view, and that I don't know. I don't know. We'll
Maybe.
have to ask Lisa when she comes back,
Yes,
if she comes back. Um,
yes.
but how are you, by the way?
Hey, I'm pretty good, you know. It's like I said, it's just been a calm day. It's very overcast here, so that's really nice, because the heat is just tormenting. You can't even go outside. You don't even want to go to the store. Getting in your car is a horrible thing, even if it's in the shade. But today is not like that. The energy of everything is very low, but not in a negative way. It's just feels calm. And it's weird because it's Monday, July 21st. Isn't it supposed to be like crazy and chaotic everywhere?
Yes. Hold on just a second. Oh, hey, it's sunny here. How about that? And since I'm in Seattle, who knew that it would be sunny at one point today? But it's going to rain later, and it's going to be awful. You're going to hate it, and don't come here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, unless it's me, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
Seattle
you can come
loves
here.
Rochelle.
Yeah, yes, yes, they do, and and when you come here, we have such a great time.
We do.
It's just remarkable, and I'm looking forward to you coming. I was going to ask her this, but I guess I can't. Um,
Well, let's take the break. It's just a minute early. We'll see if she's able to come back in and make some contact with her. But I wanted to share with you, since we're live on the show, and I was going to say it anyway, one of our guests from last week is reaching out before he is leaving here from Denver, and I'm probably going to get to see him. So I'm very,
oh,
very excited about that, and we'll take a picture to share on the show.
when are you going to see him? Oh,
Hopefully this evening. And Lisa's back.
uh, Lisa's back just in time for us to take a break. No, we
Yes.
can hold on for just a second. Welcome back, Lisa. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. My internet went out. I don't know what happened. That doesn't happen. I'm back.
It happens. It just does. But we need to take our halftime break, and we will be right back. Do you remember the question that you were so adeptly answering when we
I
left?
know. I was so excited about the chocolate chip cookie thing. Yes.
We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. She's right there. That's her. And by the way, she's got $100 in her pocket. And if you walk up to her in the city that she's in and identify her, she's not going to give it to you. But I just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, Lisa is our guest. And we were in the middle of a conversation about a chocolate chip cookie when we left.
Yes. And I love that. I love that question. And what I was saying was, I often use the comment around that we don't really go to the store to buy a shovel. We go to the store because we want the hole, and the shovel is just the tool.
And I was going to let you know that that's how I buried my ex-wife in the backyard, was with a shovel that I bought from the store.
Yes, yes. And so we get to think about that with the chocolate chip cookie, because think about that there's a variety of chocolate chip cookies that are out there, and it's really about what's your why for having chocolate chip cookies be the focus of your business. And when you said the little bit about that your grandmother had this recipe, and you got that recipe, and now you're going to open up this shop to sell chocolate chip cookies. Think about the fact that you're not just selling chocolate chip cookies. You have that opportunity to also highlight family, memories, legacy, experience, all of those kinds of words. And not that you need to do all those kinds of words, but when I was talking about pulling power words and phrases out of your head, heart, soul, I would begin to ask you questions about why chocolate chip cookies. And I would get your story from you and your grandmother. And then we would create that directly into your business. People care more about why you do what you do than what you do and how you do it. So the story related to why chocolate chip cookies, based upon that experience and interaction and opportunities with your grandmother, sets that tone for the why, what, and how of the chocolate chip cookie and whatever your business name becomes. And then throughout your vision, core values, mission, competitive edge, we weave all those things in. And I think for many of us out there, chocolate chip cookies or something else that's related to chocolate chip cookies means something to us. And how do we think about that big picture from each of the different experiences, relationships, memories, and also, nourishment, and all of those kinds of things. And then that's how you plan your branding, your marketing, and your sales. So does somebody buy the chocolate chip cookies for nourishment, or are they really buying it for the memory, or are they really buying it from the legacy, or from what kind of attitude and thought and feeling and idea? It's not just about the cookie.
In Seattle, there used to be a manufacturer, and they were called Grandma's Cookies. And I don't know if they're still around or not. Rochelle, you go
They
down the
are.
cookie aisle. Are they?
Yeah, they are. I don't really like sweets. I'm not a big sweet person. These new Dubai chocolates have me sold, which is retarded, but yeah, they still have grandma's cookies, and when I worked at the junior high school, we actually still gave them out with school lunch.
And by the way, this is somebody who just is scarfing chocolate milk who doesn't like sweets. So I don't know what that's about, really.
It's just today. It just happens.
I know things like that just happen, but that really is brilliant because you start with an idea or a product and you build it around with it. Um, and she could actually be taking her chocolate chip cookies to some small stores and that she made at home and stuff like that and start a business that way. So and but it takes a lot of talent and expertise to start your own business. How do you, because it sounds so daunting. You've got to do all of these things and they've got to be in and how do you help people understand and illuminate for them the fact that it isn't so daunting and that you can do it one thing at a time?
Yeah.
Or do
A-
you?
a- Absolutely. Well, and think about it. You come to be a business owner from your craft, your specialty, your technical knowledge, your purpose, and your passion. And with that, through our education and experience, we haven't done a whole lot through education and experience to with any focus on entrepreneurship and leadership and branding, marketing, sales, negotiation, why and how you're investing your time and energy. And that's really what led me to where I am today, in that aspect of knowing that there are great individuals out there who have great things to offer to their stakeholders. And I want them to make sure that they have the resources and tools, in fact, to do that. And so many times, just like you said, daunting, we're making it so much harder on ourselves, especially because of the bright, shiny objects of marketing. Every day you're hearing one more thing that you should be doing, and it's coming out as one more thing to do, rather than stop doing something that is no longer efficient, effective, and productive, and begin to integrate this best practice into what you're doing. So those are the kinds of things that I'm very excited about, to have you take those things off your shoulders that you feel like you need to be doing every day, and that you can be efficient, effective, and productive while you're working not only in but on your business, because you've taken the time to brainstorm your strategy. Once you do that once, you have that, and you don't just start over every time you have another opportunity. And that doesn't mean that your strategy isn't fluid, that if you decide to add another product or a service, or you come up with some other innovation or idea, that you can't integrate that into what you're doing. But you already have a framework that sets a tone for, yes, this other opportunity is right for me, or no, this doesn't make sense to integrate into what I'm doing. So, as we think about our branding, marketing, sales, and why and how you're working not only in your business, I think about it as a 5-step process. How are you out there making an introduction through your networking or your initial touch? How are you gaining favorable attention by keeping on showing up and through your social media? How are you earning a one on one to discover wants and needs, and then ask the right questions, bring up the right topics, add massive value, that somebody's going to say to you, how can you help me? What are next steps? And then you can make those recommendations for next steps and get that commitment to engage. So that buying, selling process doesn't have to be a daunting task when you create a flow that you're putting yourself out there, you're gaining that favorable attention, you're earning the one-on-ones, you're making those recommendations for next steps, and you're getting that commitment to engage.
So is there like a step-by-step process that you kind of help people go through all of this, or is everybody's situation different depending on their steps?
I customize for my clients as appropriate because we all come from different different ways that we learn in different areas of
Right.
expertise. I always say you never fell off you didn't just fall off the truck last night. You know, you've been doing and thinking and have a variety of experiences. So I first figure out where you are, what you know, how you're feeling, what your strengths are, what you might want or need support on, or what you would want to offload or subcontract to somebody else. Typically, I start at that beginning part that I mentioned to you earlier about listening to and understanding your why and what success means to you. And I create a document that I call a working copy that is your preparation for each of your sessions so that we have your words in front of us. And then usually I lead into your vision, core values, mission, and competitive edge. And I give you some things to read and think about that are best practices around those concepts. And then you and I knock out those statements together. And that's that part of me pulling those words out of your head, heart, and soul, and that we create each of those. And they build off of one another. So that's why it's a little bit sequenced around your why, success, vision, core values, mission, competitive edge. So once we have that, then it sets a tone for us to explore why and how to set and achieve goals. And that keeps us organized on creating processes and structures and creating habits and doing tasks that relate to those 5 steps that I just said. How are we going to do our prospecting and our marketing through our networking, social media, having one-on-ones, um, making recommendations for next steps, and getting commitment. And all of that really sets a tone for you to work not only in, but on your business. Some business owners are solopreneurs, so they're working themselves. Some of them are going to hire team members. So when they hire team members or they already have team members, I also include best practices related to leadership, because we haven't done such a great job through education and experience related to that, and communication, and then really developing peak performers through teaming, and so that you're also becoming a thought leader in your industry overall. And so I have a variety of topics that I can integrate into that, but when we think about it from a business perspective, your why, what success means to you, your strategy, vision, core values, mission, competitive edge, goal setting and achieving, prospecting and marketing, how you're out there making an introduction, gaining favorable attention, discovering wants and needs, making recommendations, and getting commitment are essential best practices for us to integrate into our business. And you might already be great at, or good at, or super at, or something at any of those areas. And that's okay. I'm not about reinventing the wheel. I'm not about saying, forget everything you ever learned before. I'm about, who are you? What are you doing? These are best practices. Let's see how we're going to integrate them into our business. We all know that there's a ton of webinars that are out there. And so we go to these webinars or whatever lifelong learning things that we do, and we scribble these notes and we pile all that stuff up. And we often don't integrate it into our business. that's part of my superpowers to support you in integrating that into your business so that you're celebrating your strengths, you're identifying areas for growth, you're considering ideas to develop, and you're breaking habits that are no longer efficient, effective, and productive. You can't keep trying and doing something else if you don't stop doing something else that is no longer efficient, effective, and productive, or it's going to continue to be, what did you say, Kevin? Daunting on us, because it makes it be one more thing to do rather than doing really the right things for the right reasons to make the right things happen.
And by the way, we're talking with Lisa,
Heintzelman.
and her website is.
Website is illuminationsconsulting.com. I'd have to fight against the odds to say that I would consider you a life coach. So when we come back, I want to know, if somebody were to ask you, Lisa, who are you and what do you do? What your answer would be.
Okay.
Oh, Jiminy, that's pretty good right there. We'll be right back. Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. People who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, Kevin at kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand. And welcome back to Positive Talk. And I think Rochelle is about ready to put our guest on the spot right here, right now. Rochelle,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. If somebody were to come to you, Lisa, and they said, "Who are you and what do you do?" What would you tell them?
So I have fought for some time to not necessarily put myself into that label kind of box. And I
Right?
love how you said, I I see you, hear you, feel you as potentially a life coach. When I say the words, when people ask for that, I say business, sales, and leadership coach. And it is true that I definitely put on my life coach hat as appropriate. And there is a whole lot to do with mindset and purpose and focus and passion and clarity, which are a lot of those life coach kinds of things that go into what it is that I do. And I flip my hats around as I need
Mhm.
to, from a life coach to a business sales leadership coach to a friend to somebody who lends a listening ear, somebody who you can rant and rave and carry on with, so that you do that with me and you don't do that out where you shouldn't or might not want to or whatever it is. So I move my hats around as I want and need to. But you are correct that yes, big time, that life coaching aspect, especially from a mindset standpoint, is so essential in the process of planning, developing, and growing your business. There are too many individuals who are stuck and not necessarily confident about why you're doing what you're doing. And the work that I do around, again, pulling those words and your thoughts, feelings, and ideas out of your head, heart, and soul is definitely connected to that mindset and some of those life coaching kinds of things, especially from the aspect of giving yourself credit for your strengths and your purpose and your passion and how to integrate them into living your best life. So I think about it as, how are you pursuing your passion, creating your reality, and bringing value to the individuals, families, businesses, teams, and communities that you serve?
Very cool.
Very good. Now I got a hard question for you now. Not that the last one wasn't easy at all, but you're a restaurant guy, and and that's my background. So you're a restaurant guy. You have a futon in the back. You have one employee that works part time because you're there 18 hours a day, trying to make it work. And to try and make it work, you're now a teriyaki pizza, burgers, sushi and a restaurant, and you're trying everything to try and get more people in the door. So what would you tell them? Beside what I would tell them is you need a new job because you're married to this one. But what is there when you get to that place? Is there an out for those guys, or do they have to totally rethink what they're doing and do something, but do it extraordinarily well?
Right. And that kind of goes back to part of our conversation earlier about what's your why and your purpose and your strategy, and what additional products, services, offerings do you integrate into what you do. And so does it make sense from that perspective that you said to add more more kinds of cuisine into your restaurant, or does it make sense that you create another restaurant with a different type of cuisine and then brand and focus related to that? What is it that you're really trying to accomplish? And do you really feel that you are going to have more customers because you expand your menu items that are there? That's a whole lot of choices for somebody to have to make. And so why would they choose you and having 7 different kinds of cuisine choices to choose there, when that's even one of the hard things for us as a consumer?
Well, I'll tell you this, that restaurants that do that, there are two things that are for sure. One is their food isn't very good, and two, they're going out of
Right?
business soon.
Yes.
So from that standpoint, I would concentrate on doing the absolute best job you could at whatever it is. If it's fish and
Yes.
chips, your fish and chips have got the biggest portions, and you're serving the most French fries, and your tartar sauce is just killer. And you
Mhm.
build your brand that way rather than trying to be all things to all people. Because unless you're Positive Talk Radio, you can't be all things to all people.
Right, right.
And neither can we. By the way, we're talking with Lisa, and you're very talented at what you do. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're wondering what to do next, you need to talk to Lisa, because she can lay it out for you, and she can use your life with the life skills that Rochelle was talking about to be able to help you live your life in addition to work your job or work your business, because there's entrepreneurs that are working 17 hours a day, 6 days a week, and and they burn out, and they're not successful, and they don't have a good family life, and their kids don't know, who are you, by the way, Dad? I thought I knew you, but you had hair the last time I saw you, and stuff like that. So it's really important to have balance as well, isn't it?
Yes, and you bring up a good point there. That's a question that I often ask. Are you working your business, or is your business working you?
Mhm.
Sometimes we transition from whatever our craft or our specialty or our technical knowledge, experience kind of thing is. And are you looking for creating yourself another job that you're doing yourself and you're the boss of yourself? Or are you really wanting to create a business overall? And too many individuals that move from employee to entrepreneurship don't don't realize the opportunity that they have to build a business overall that they become the leader of, and that they build a team related to, and that they are solving problems and bringing value to who it is that they are serving, rather than working more and harder than they ever did before. One of my focuses is that you work smart, efficient, effective, and productive so that you achieve results, personal, professional, business, organizationally. And then you celebrate often, because so much as entrepreneurs, we jump on to the next thing. And you don't want to be working another job. You want to be working your business. And if you don't have time for your family and your friends and other opportunities that you want to, that you call work-life balance, then you don't have a business. You have another job.
And it's not nearly as good a job as probably the one that you had, because you're working a billion hours. And by the way, I'm an incredible boss, but if I were working by myself, I wouldn't, because I'm a lousy employee,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense at all.
It,
Um,
and that's why we have to do what we're great at, and then surround ourselves with the very best people.
True.
Very good. Rochelle, would you like to take us to the end, and because you do it so well?
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks for listening in, everybody, with me and Kevin. And we've had Lisa Heintzelman here today with us. And I love what you said. I switched it around a little bit, but I really love to make something out of it. It says, are you working for your life, or is your life working for you?
Mm.
That's something I'm kind of right in the middle of changing the habit of, but I have learned a lot here from you today. Thank you for doing the work you're doing and having a passion for helping other people also figure out how to live their life and be happy at the same time and thrive from doing what they love. We just have a few minutes left before we go. Is there anything you would like to share with our listeners?
Thanks for saying that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and so I really want to share that I welcome the opportunity to chat with anybody who is planning, developing, and growing your business. I've worked with individuals all the way from startups to somebody that reached out to me to say, I want to go out with a bang in my last 10 years. And so there's always places that we can integrate best practices into what we're doing. So especially if you're a service relationship based entrepreneur, you're passionate about what you do, you're great at your craft and your specialty, and you're frustrated with things, business, marketing, and sales, please get on my calendar and plan a time to chat with me, because I want you to be doing what you love every day.
Okay, and if they go to illuminationsconsulting.com, that's where they can reach out and make that happen, right?
Yes.
Very good.
Isn't she
Yeah.
good? I never mind. But Lisa, it is great fun having you here. We could talk about business all day long. Next time you come back, we're going to have to talk about leadership, because that's something that is sorely lacking in our society, and it's not
Yes.
taught by anybody. And it's people just wander around and do the best they can, but it's not as effective as it could be.
Yeah, very
That
true.
is very true.
It starts with discipline, right?
Yes, indeed. I have none. And so again, go to her website, which is
Illuminationsconsulting.com. We've been talking with Lisa Heintzelman, and it has been an honor to have you on the show. Continue doing what you're doing. I cannot wait to see more feedback that you're going to get from people who are just like, man, Lisa, you helped me change my life. And hopefully somebody from the show as well. So loved it.
and
Awesome. Thank you.
she's got a testimonial on her website from a
Yep.
guy that she's helped that believes strongly in. How did that happen?
The internet is playing games with us
That
today.
is the weirdest thing. I've never seen anything like that before in my entire life. In any event, thank you, everybody. And in case we disappear again, have a great day. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.